podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to Anxious Black Belt Podcast. I'm your host, Les Bubka.
Hello.
Hello. How are
How
you?
you doing?
I'm very, very good. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Nice shirt.
Huh?
Nice
Yeah, I don't know.
t-shirt.
Somebody gave it to me. I don't know who. Well, I've seen they give you as well.
Ah, no, we're twinning.
Yeah, it's actually a very nice shirt. You guys want a nice shirt with a Kuroten on it. I won't say it's a ferret because
It's not a
fe-
ferret.
exactly. That's why I wouldn't say it. Hello. So how's the recovery from the knee injury going?
Oh, it's okay. Basically, I'm now waiting to see the knee surgeon who I hoped I was going to see to start with. And they've said it's going to be at least 18 weeks before I actually get to see the top knee surgeon. So they don't know. They know it's the kneecap's rubbing,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know why, and they don't know if there's anything they can do. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just strapping it up and having to try and get on with it, really.
That must be painful. How do you working around it now?
I'm just I wear a normal basic support every day, and then I've got like a proper knee brace, sports knee brace, and I'm wearing that when I'm properly training. If I'm teaching and it's just kids and stuff, it might just be the normal knee support. If not, it's the full knee brace.
All
But
right.
I can't run, I can't walk quickly, I can't kick anything with any impact, I can't kick off of my good leg because I can't twist my bad one. I can't lift people properly for demonstrating throws. I have to use really light hookies at the moment. Because if you know when you stop halfway, like you normally would, and you're saying,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, well, if they're like a lot heavier than me, like most of them tend to be, I can't do that at the moment with that knee because I can't hold them.
All right. So not a fun.
No, it's a pain. How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Bit tired. We had a seminar with John Jarvis.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of throws and helping a lot of people to get over the fear of being thrown. So my body feels it, you just need to slow down a little bit as well. Unfortunately, after 40, it's not getting easier, isn't it?
Oh, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. I'm going to be 42 this year.
Ah, you're 2 years behind.
There you go.
Uh, how's so last time we talked, you just started your club, and I see you're flourishing. You've got a lot of nice students, huge variety of abilities. So I am admirer of your work, and I think you're doing an amazing job. So tell us, how was the process of building the club up, and what did you do?
So when I started with just literally 3 classes: an infant class, a junior class, and an adult class. And then the club just grew. So I realized that I needed to double the kids' classes because I had so many on the waiting list. So I started another infant class and then another junior class. And then I realized that some of my adults weren't going to be able to train in the evening anymore due to childcare issues. So I thought I'll start a daytime adult class. So I started that. And my original junior class used to be for children aged 17 to 15. And then I realized that as soon as they went to secondary school, they didn't really fit in the junior class anymore. It was too young. They were too big. The activities were too young. So I thought I need a cadet class. So then I started a cadet class. And from then on, I started to think, right now, once students have been training a while, now they need to train for longer. So let's lengthen the length of my adult class. And now let's lengthen the length of my cadet class. And then I realized that infant students, so 5 to 7-year-olds, tend to drop out very, very quickly because they're little and they're changing their mind and they're tired. So I had a waiting list of about 40 juniors, and none of them were getting a chance because the infants were just taking their places. I was recruiting infants and they just filled the junior classes and so on. So I took the decision to get rid of an infant class, just have one, and have another junior class, but make a beginner junior class. So basically now all my juniors filter through the beginner class and they don't go to a normal junior class until they've reached a certain level. so that it doesn't hold back any of the other juniors. So it's just literally looking at the club and figuring out what does it need, where are the gaps. I'm very conscious. I've trained in so many clubs where you lose the top end because you're constantly recruiting white belts and constantly going back to the beginning. That the people who are mid to higher in the classes start to get bored. So I'm constantly looking for ways to try and make sure that everybody's still able to achieve.
Cool. So what mistakes have you done? What would you done differently now setting up the class? And I'm interested if you could talk more about your midday classes for adults because I'm starting with it and I'm struggling to get people in. I think because you've got a kids as well, that's kind of propels stuff. But for me, without teaching kids, it's kind of I'm interested how you done it.
So my daytime class doesn't do particularly well, I'll be completely honest. I usually have quite a few, but unfortunately people's work commitments change. So they'll sign up and they'll be really excited, they'll love it. And then their work will say to them, oh, you can no longer have Wednesday mornings off. So they start, if I can, I fit them into a Thursday evening, but I do lose a lot through that because or they find that they've got childcare issues, so they'll have time off, they'll come to class, they'll love it, their child will be sick, they'll have to have time off, then they have to make up the time. So my daytime class is anything between 4 and 8 people
Oh, so
every
very,
week. But what is happening, which is really lovely, is because I only have one adult evening class, but it's 2 hours, that some of those adults, they go, oh, I really want to make up some time. And they say, can we have some time in lieu at work? And they'll come along on a Wednesday morning and it's working like a bit of a makeup class for those, which is
okay.
really nice thing to be able to offer. And I say, yeah, that's fine. And they come along and then they get, because it's a much smaller class, my adult class, I can have between 15 and 20 adults in with just me teaching. But the daytime class, you know, if they turn up and there's only 4 or 5, they're going to get a lot more individual attention. So it's worth them taking time off work to attend.
Yeah, sure. Also, you've been saying that actually you answered only one question. I just caught myself on it. So what would you do differently now when you're starting up the club now? I had the same conversation with John. So the week before, listen to the conversation last week with John because John was saying the same question if you want to have a little bit different perspective. But go on, Tracy. What would you do different now?
What would I do differently? I think it was different for me because when I started the club, it was in the middle of a lockdown and we started.
Same for John.
Yeah, was it? Yeah. No, it was straight in the middle. So I was restricted. I could only have 8 students, 6
Mhm.
adults, I think it was, and 8 kids in a class.
Yeah,
So I was very governed between this is all I can have. So if I was starting now, I felt like there was fors and against. So when I started then, it was great. A lot of the students that first started with me, I've still got 3 years later
awesome.
because they had a lot of individual attention. However, what happened was those students that I first started with, they did non-contact karate for a year. Now, for somebody that's never done any kind of martial arts training, doing non-contact karate kind of gives you a false sense of what it's actually about. And then once they actually started doing contact, some loved it and some really said it wasn't for me. So that
Mm.
was massive. However, when I look at my students, I look at the students that start with me now and where they are, and their grappling's amazing and their throwing's really good, and their pad work's good. But the students that started with me with non-contact karate have the most amazing stances, better kata, better form. So it's really interesting. It's a really interesting perspective of like,
Mm.
oh, okay, you've both got different strengths because you started with me. I've taught you differently. I've literally had to change the way I've taught.
Yeah, I think you can see that quite clearly on clubs that focus on kata and techniques instead of sparring. That you can see that the performance of the kata is much better than those who put that sparring in and focusing on more practical application and so on and so on.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's
I've got similar situation now. It's quite a few people are injured, not from the club, but had like operations and stuff like that. That we're gonna be doing more technical one, and I can see that the kata is improving as well.
yes, yeah. No, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's yeah, very interesting.
Last time when we spoke, I think you've been working on changing your syllabus. Did you manage to settle on a syllabus, or are you still changing? Because for me, it's never ending. It's like 5.0 now, or 6.7 and 10.20 changes.
Do you know what? I'm so glad that you've said that, because I don't know if this is right or wrong. This is the first time I've ever run a club. So I've taught for instructors for years and years, but this is the first time I've run a club. And I've made the decision that my syllabus is a live document. So
Yeah.
it's never going to be set in stone. So what I do is I wrote the syllabus and then I change it when, not crazily, but just like, this isn't working, or hang on a minute, I've got a gap. Why can my orange belt not do something? Well, there's
Mm.
obviously something I'm not teaching them, or I haven't put on my grading syllabus further down. So every time we have a grading, especially if we have, like, for example, we've just had a load of people grade up to orange. So I actually took the opportunity to go, right, I'm going to look at my green belt syllabus. No one's getting a new syllabus until I've actually reviewed it and looked at it and looked at above. So I'm constantly going, this isn't working. No, I need to add that. Or and sometimes I've got quite a few students that have got adaptive syllabuses.
Hmm.
So, for example, I have a student who's a wheelchair user, and I write his syllabus is based around everyone else's, but there are stuff that are specific to him. And I don't like doing things that are just because then it looks like the others. It has to be things that are practical for him. But
Hmm.
however, this particular student is a child, so he doesn't want to feel that he's doing something completely different to all of his friends. So I very much, so his syllabus is written for him. I have another adult student who is hopefully returning soon. He had a cardiac arrest and now
Hmm.
has an ICD fitted, which means he can't do any contact. So
Yeah.
I'm in the process at the moment of working and putting together a risk assessment for him to be able to return to training. Peter Constantine is kindly helping me with this. And then from there, I'm going to put together a syllabus specifically for him, which will mean he won't be able to be hit or risk being hit, but still a practical syllabus
Hmm.
for him. And so I go through and I make adaptations on all sorts of people's syllabus and think, well, they have a condition that would restrict them from doing that, but that doesn't mean they can't grade with me. What can I do to make it practical for them? So yeah, there are lots of versions of Kuroten syllabus now. Depending on who it is, will depend. I don't necessarily broadcast that to everybody. It's just, oh, let's tweak this because you have a genuine condition that limits your ability to be able to do that. But what can you do? So we have quite a few variations.
So how you tell me more, and how you gearing yourself to do the changes? Because I follow you, I've seen amazing job you're doing with the wheelchair users, and I've seen you having a beautiful fall yourself. And so you're not only, thinking about it, how to do it, but you're actually testing it, grabbing a wheelchair, you sitting on a wheelchair, you doing stuff, which is the amazing way for me, and I love your content. So tell me more.
Thank you. So, for example, the student who is a wheelchair user, until I took him on as a student, I've never been in a chair. So how can I teach someone if I've never actually sat in a wheelchair? So I do it. I sat there. I borrowed the chair the other day with a training partner of mine who kindly gave me a hand, and
Give
we
you
tried
give you
sparring. Um,
did give you a beating, not a hand.
so some of the photos I did not share on Facebook because I think that Facebook might ban them. It looks really awful. But however, so I look at it and we look at the realism of it. Okay, well, for example, the student that I'm teaching at the moment is at high school. So I say to him, what are your biggest fears? Have you encountered any violence? His biggest fear at the moment at that age is people coming around the back, grabbing hold of his chair and trying to wheel him off somewhere against his will.
Mhm.
So we look at, well, if it's a friend, you have to treat that differently to if it was someone that you didn't know who was much bigger and stronger, because kids of that age, let's face it, they muck about. You
Yeah.
can't go knocking out your buddy in the high school corridors, but you have to find ways of dealing with it. So I was looking at that and just literally testing things. And also he doesn't just want to train for self-protection, he'll want to train for fun. Like all of my students, they want to spar. So
Mm.
it's how can we spar in the chair against somebody who is on their feet, and then also against somebody else who's in another chair. I currently have another student at the moment who's carrying an injury. He's walking around, but he's not supposed to be doing sport and putting too much weight on his feet. So he was kindly lent a wheelchair to make his classes more adaptable. He was really up for it. I spoke to him about it. So he is now also training in a chair. And we're trying stuff out, which is amazing, because my initial student, who is the wheelchair user, has never trained with anyone else in a chair. So we're putting them together, we're letting them spar, we're letting them try things. Sometimes they train with people who are say on their feet running, sometimes it's together. Lots of things have come up, things I wouldn't sort of think about. So a lot of sparring I've been teaching him was sort of in front. Then I realized with sort of an able-bodied person, they're just going to run around to the side. If he drops his hands to turn, he gets smacked in the head. So I started looking at like striking from angles as opposed to straight. I teach him how to break fall. So if he falls out of his chair, making sure his head's tucked in. Whatever happens when you break fall from a chair, it always seems to wind you. I haven't been able to get this right. You should try it, Les. See if you can see if you can break fall from a wheelchair and not wind yourself. It's really hard. So lots and lots of things. Where I was actually training with an adult friend rather than a child, I was determined that I was going to look to see if they could do a throw from there. So I had hold of my friend's arm and eventually realized that I could trap his leg behind the wheel on the chair and throw. It isn't going to be something that I'm going to allow the teenagers to do because the risk of knee escalation is huge. However, once he becomes an adult student, we may look at using the chair as more of a weapon. So that's from sort of a wheelchair perspective. I have lots of other people with additional needs and disabilities that I'm also adapting for, because it's not so obvious as the chair. And we don't tend to sort of shout about it because it's personal. I don't tend to broadcast what I'm doing. But during a class, say there's 15 people, I might have 8 that have all got additional needs or a disability that I'm also accommodating for and trying to make adaptations in my lessons for.
Cool. So I'm gonna say that on the air. I've been pestering you for some time. Tracy, it's time for a book.
I don't
So
know.
if you listen to this and you think I'm right, send the Tracy a message. Or move your bottom and write the book.
I think I'd like some more experience with with wheelchair users a little bit more. I'm getting there. I'm also a mom and work as all moms do, work full-time being a mom and work full-time in a business, so juggling it all with the club. But maybe
Not
one
not
day.
only mums. I just posted about
Oh,
it
I'm
today.
sorry, and dads. Yes, so
Yeah, but
yeah,
so volume 1, introductions, volume 2, experience, volume 3, retrospection.
okay. I think I don't know.
That,
I mean, I know that you teach people with additional needs and things as well. I'm really interested to see how it differs with adult students. I've got adult students with disabilities and additional needs, but I come across all sorts of things with children. So for example, I've got children who have got OCD and they have to do certain things so many times. So if you say to them, when you as an instructor, you'll go, right, last one, and they'll say to me, I've got to do one more. And you have to be accepting of they have to do one more because it's the OCD, or before they can do something, they have to perform a ritual. So I'm sort of accommodating that and being aware of that. Fidget toys. Sometimes children with ADHD can't stand still and they have to have something to help them. So at the moment, I'm currently looking into fidget toys that are soft, that can attach to a student's belt, because otherwise with small children, they kept putting them down and then wondering where they were and stealing them from each other. And so I'm currently looking into a line of trying to find fidget toys that attach to belts. So if you happen to come across anything, let me know.
Create your own.
Maybe.
Yeah, you know,
I need to think about things like that. Yeah, all sorts of things. I'm trying to think about the adaptations that we do. Students with autism, that adults or kids, I often invite them to the dojo beforehand, so they've been into the building, because it can be really difficult for someone with autism to come in with everything happening and not be able to focus. So if they've been in the building before, that can help. Students with additional needs, we tend to invite early, so they come into the class and all the noise builds up around them rather than walking into something. Lots and lots of things. I could talk to you for ages about all the different things that we're doing.
I've got time today. No, but I think I've got the easier job because I'm working only with adults, so they are kind of used to it, to living with their condition for longer. So they kind of willingly or not adapt it to their surroundings. So my job is much easier than with children who really learning their conditions or just richly discovered. So my hat off to you, working with children, and you know it's much more difficult. Also, I don't have people with physical disability in a way of wheelchair users. I've got with MS and now with the motor neuron disease, which is very challenging, and you know deafness and so on. But most of my clients are having an anxiety, depression, or you know like a withdrawn, so they may not say anything through the session, and it's kind of tricky on me because I never know if they are satisfied with the session because there's no feedback. It's
No.
literally just hi, bye, okay, and you
Yeah.
just like, you know, there's no emotions there, so you don't know, have I done a good session, have I done a bad session, and there's no way,
I
you know,
hear you.
reaching out. But you know, they are every week for 5 years, so I think I do something all right. So yeah, you know,
Have
but
you so some of my students use your diary to record the sessions, and in there you have like an instructor's review page,
yeah.
so you sit down and talk to them about it. Well, that's a really good way of figuring out how they feel about your classes, because in there you've got how you feel. So when I look through their diaries with them, I can see, so perhaps your students with anxiety, if they would, or with that don't like to say anything, would fill that out. That might give you an indication as to
Yeah,
how they feel.
the problem is that it's the run through the external charity, so I'm not allowed to promote my books and stuff. So
Oh,
this is
that's a
kind
shame.
of really frustrating because the charity says, you know, we would like to have more people. Well, okay, let me do advertising. Or sorry, you can't do advertising because you're an external partner. So you don't have a permission to share it. So I can advertise. I cannot write about it. You know, I've got
Oh,
free classes which I cannot say anything about on Facebook. So you know, I am successful.
you're doing amazing. You're doing
but you
brilliantly.
know, it's kind of I enjoy doing it, and I see the people. We've got, you know, 10, 15 people coming in, but I can't say anything. I can't share any pictures about it. So it's like kind of, it's just for love of doing it. So yeah,
Oh, bless you.
but it's nice to see that, you know, people, the movement is growing a lot, and people like yourself, John Johnson, John McLean, and other people are making the dojos super inclusive, right? Like we've been on the seminar last week with John Jarvis, and his club is amazing. You know, the inclusion that he can create with people and connection with people, and he got all sorts of disabilities, both mental and physical, in there, and everybody is happy, which is, you know, it
Oh,
just makes me really happy that it's a change, right? We don't have to be hardcore karate guys who just go and beat everybody and are super tough. We can be a gentle and compassionate people and have that community growing and everybody enjoying it.
I think that you're really right there. You've hit the nail on the head. I trained in the 90s, so being female in the 90s with predominantly male clubs with instructors that were, you know, a particular way, they looked a particular way, they acted a particular way. That's what happened then. And now I think about the way I teach, and I play, I'm fun. I will take the mickey out of myself constantly. I'm not particularly big and I'm constantly taking the mickey out of myself. I'm under no illusion. I come up with toys for the kids. So, for example, we have children with selective mutism that start, so they can talk, but they won't, which is fine. But I bought a little toy spider. We called him Motubu because we always name any toys after.
Does he do my hanchi with 8 legs?
Or everything is named after, because then you get children asking, why is he called that? So yeah, we have Motobu the toy spider. He's pink with green legs, and the louder noise you make, the more he moves. So the louder you are, the more tricks he does. So you take him to the kids' classes. So you've got children that won't ki, and you get them ki-ing one by one. And of course, the louder he is, the more he shoots and spins. And I've got children that have never said a word, all of a sudden want to make this spider spin. So they haven't got to say a word. They've just got to yell. And they start doing it. I mean, I took him to the adult class and I saw 10 grown blokes screaming at the spider just to see how many tricks he could do. So it's playful, it's fun. Something else, I have quite a few students with tics or Tourette's. Some of them get nervous. For example, I have kept some of the traditions within karate, and like when we do a kata, I like them to announce their kata. I don't want to announce it. Absolutely fine. Why don't you sign it? So I know some basic sign language. So a lot of my students, they'll sign the beginning of their kata. Fine, they're still announcing it, and it gets rid of that anxiety.
I don't see the problem with going fucking pinan kata. Sounds better.
You're gonna have to bleep that out now. You're not gonna be able to...
I can put it's adult content, so we can swear. Fucking pinan kata.
Don't give them any ideas. Do not give them... just a mindset thing. Yeah, lots of things like that. For example, for inclusivity, people say to me, why are you all in black gi? Why does everyone wear black gi? Why did you not even bother starting with white gi? And my main thought was for women, and especially teenage girls. They don't like wearing white. As soon as their periods start, that's it, they drop out, and then they won't come once a month, and then they're not sure, and then sometimes you get 2 weeks a month where they're not there. So the black gi has really helped with that.
I think as well, being a white gi user for so many years, and again coming out as a scaredy person, I used to afraid of wearing black gi because of that. We always been told the gi is the traditional one you cannot wear. But when I put the black gi on, it's like a superpower. Welcome to the dark side. Now you're Darth.
I've had people say to me, oh, why black gi? It's not traditional. I said, well, if we're going to go really traditional, before it came to Europe, the guys would be training with no shirts on, and I probably wouldn't be training at all.
Yeah.
So I'd throw that back at them, and they're oh, and yeah, exactly. People say to me, "Oh, you're Cobra Kai. Are we the bad guys?" If you wish to believe that.
Look at the logo. We're not Cobra Kai. We're Kurotens.
We're soft and gentle and.
Yeah.
We look soft and gentle, but we.
Yeah, that's the one. It's like Christian Vedevat says. Disney on the outside, but Tarantino inside.
Oh, I love that. That's very good. Yeah. Look all soft and fluffy, and then
rip you to shreds. But I'm gonna say this again because I really believe in it, and if you want, I can help you. When you're gonna have your operation for a knee or whatever, you're gonna have some time to recovery. Let's write a book.
Let's write a book. Do you know what? I'm planning on only taking maybe a week or 2 weeks, and then this is what my plan is. If I have an operation on my knee, I'm going to try and teach from a wheelchair, because I can't. I'm self-employed. I can't shut my club for that long. It would be really detrimental to the students. So as long as I'm safe and I'm not too high on drugs with the painkillers, my plan is to teach from a chair. My students use one, why can't I? So that if I have to have an operation, that is my plan, to get back to work ASAP.
Wow, amazing.
Luckily it's my left knee, so I should be able to drive an automatic. So yeah, I just plan on get back to the dojo as soon as I can.
Do you so speaking with John, and John's got now the team of instructors, and he's got a team leader program. Are you planning to do something like that, just in case you've been out of action for a bit longer? You've got somebody who can teach for you?
So unfortunately,
Not yet.
we're kind of at the stage that I've currently got several downgrades in the club. One of them trains in another club frequently in more 3K karate and
Yeah.
joins us once a week, which is fine. It's lovely to have that input, and we've trained together for years. But he's sort of not so up on the grappling and the throwing and things because he has more of a 3K background. And then I have two other downgrades. One who, bless her heart, lives an hour and a half to an hour and 3/4 drive from our dojo, drives every week. Sometimes it takes her 2 hours to get to the dojo and 2 hours home. So again, not really practical.
Yeah.
And the other one, again, he has a 3K karate background, and they're all on adaptive, they're all on syllabus, so they're transitional syllabus over, but can't teach the full practical elements.
So jumping in with a question which I've got now, because I've got a similar situation. So most of my guys and girls are from different styles, so they're coming back after long break and stuff. How are you sorting out the transition between?
So I look at the student. I would never take someone's belt away from them. I have a conversation with them. So a downgrade, they earned that. They worked years for that grade. So I look at it and say, right, okay, let's do a transitional grade. So I work on, what did you do for your first dan? Okay, so for example, one of mine's come from Shotokan, whereas the katas I teach are Wadaru. So I'm trying to sort of move over him onto the Pinan katas. But I said to him, if you want to grade, and you want to learn the more practical element, and you want to be graded on your Shotokan katas for your second dan, then I will ask a Shotokan instructor if they'll come and sit on the panel, because I can't judge a Shotokan kata. I don't know. I've got an idea, but I would feel better. But he said no, he wanted to convert it. So I'm not as expecting as much. So my son is kind of the highest student within Kuroten that I've got. Obviously, he's got years of training 3K as well beforehand, but he's only 13. But he's hoping to take an adult black belt at 15. He said, I'm not mucking about with junior ones, Mum. What's the youngest you'll let me take one? And I said 15. So he's working his way up. But although he helps out in my classes, he can't teach a class on his own. He's 13 years old. I've got another student who is up and coming, and she helps out in my classes. She's hopefully going for her green belt soon, but has some of her own health conditions that we're working with. So all of them, I work on the student. Sometimes children, when they come in, they'll come in and say, I've got 3 belts. And then I look at my syllabus and I say, well, can you do any of this? And they're like, no. So I say, well, you can keep that belt, but it means that you won't. So my students will have a sheet, and they have everything they need for the next grade written on it, on this syllabus. And when they can do it to the required level, I sign it off. When they've got it all signed off, they're ready for their grading. The way the children work is they have things in different colors. So they've got things in red, things in yellows, things in green, that kind of thing. When they've got all the red things signed off, they get some red electrical tape on their belt. When they get the yellow things, so they've got that constant, so whoever it is, look, they're red stripe today. We all give a big clap. They get the red, yellow, all of this on their belt. So they constantly see progression. But if they come across and they don't know a lot of the stuff on my syllabus, then they're not going to feel like they're achieving. I've tried it, and I've lost the students, because a year, 18 months down the line, they've not had one thing signed off, because they've come from 3K, or the different standards within the clubs are so different. So often with young kids that are only maybe a grade or 2 into it, I say to them, I'd advise you to start again, but you'll go through it really, really quickly, and we'll fill in the gaps. And then all of a sudden, it's their 6th class and they've got a stripe. 10, 12 classes later, they've got another stripe. So they're feeling like, I'm achieving. Adults, if they come in a grade or 2 in, I give them the choice. They can stay there, but they might be that grade for 2 years while I bring them up to speed. But adults can cope with that. Adults are like, that's fine. But children, I find it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Once children get to sort of brown belt, I've got a brown belt student who's a teenager who's done that, and I'm gradually working him through the syllabus, and sometimes I'll jump him a grade and double grade him, but he keeps the same belt. He never gets a stripe, he just gets the sign-off sheets, and he can see how far he's come.
That's great. So for my club, we've got, like I said, most of the people coming from different clubs, and most of them are black belts. So I, as well as you, I don't take the belts away. They can have a choice. We've got two routes in our club. One is just come and enjoy, and the other one is all the, terminology, what I want to. So most people go for about 3-4 months with their black belts, and then they're taking it off, and we're starting from green belt. But as you said, the progression is very quick. I've got now a student, Nick, who came in. He's a first dan in Shorin-ryu. He done some Goju-ryu between, so he just needs to catch up on groundwork. He's got really good throws, really everything. So, within a few months, he's jumping up. He's gonna be brown belt soon. But I do only once a year grading for everybody. So it's just like BJJ style. So I just award. There's no grading as such. It's just assessment. So I look for through all the year and ticking off what I want to see for a grade. But I'm not sticking very, very hardly to my syllabus. If they can do the stuff which is in it, it's fine.
Yeah,
But children is definitely different ball game because their attention span and motivation is very short. So it's nice to hear because more and more people pushing me towards children. You should be teaching children. I don't want it. It's
Well,
enough. I'm teaching my son and his friend on Saturday. That's enough.
what age is the youngest you'll take them from, Les?
16. Yeah.
That's
Well,
interesting.
if somebody turns up with a I had a boy with a parent coming in and saying, "Oh, can we train together?" Yes. Well, if you take the responsibility for him, yes. But I have to warn you, we don't have a children safety officer. We don't have a guide. What do you call it? Safeguarding for children. We've got for vulnerable adults, but we don't have it for children. And to be honest, I don't want to spend so much time on the office side of things, filling up paperwork and dealing with this and thinking all the time, oh, I do a lot of groundwork and throws and stuff like that, and that's compromising position. So I don't want to deal with the parent saying, "Oh, why have you been showing stuff?" or "Why my kids are between somebody's legs" and stuff like that. With adults, you can explain to them, "This is we're doing this because that's going to result in this when somebody attacks you and you end up on the floor." With children, it's a little bit different. So, and just having a control over all of the kids is just like I've got two at home, enough.
Oh, they might say my children help in the dojo. And my youngest has just started now. She's 11. She's been training years, but she's just started helping in the dojo. She's great at being one-to-ones for children with additional needs. So she'll come in
Cool.
and be someone's one-to-one, which is really lovely. Just sort of modeling the behavior. I don't have to teach as such, but this is what we do. I'll be your partner. So perhaps your children might do the same. They'll come in and
Yeah, no, I try once, and my younger Lauren, she just is a master of distraction. So she tear the class apart with crying and throwing things around, and yeah, she's a full-on work. I think at 5 she's just not ready yet for it. So,
oh no, perhaps a little.
but
My
she's really
also
good. She's really good with punching and throwing. Yeah, she's good
that's
with
good.
that. Yeah, she managed. We've got an MMA dummy, so she managed to stab it in her throat. And she keeps saying, it comes to me, opens my eyes and says, "Dad, can I take them out? Dad, can I chop you to pieces?" So I think she's either gonna be a surgeon or a serial killer. I have to keep an eye on her because her hobby is chopping people to halves and seeing what's inside. So I hope it's a first for anatomy, not killing.
Hopefully so.
So, we'll see how it goes.
I think growing up with around martial arts clubs is unique.
Yeah.
My daughter during lockdown formed an attachment with, I don't know if you've seen the head-shaped focus mitts, so they're actual heads.
Yeah.
She loved it because it was weighted and she called it Jennifer. And she had tea parties with it and took it on Zoom and then went on Zoom and she was at primary, so probably a similar age to your
Mm.
children at the time. This is Jennifer, and if you want to knock somebody out, this is the point of the jaw that you have to hit them. Me running in saying to the teacher, I'm my martial arts instructor, I'm teaching from Zoom. She's hearing things that she ordinarily wouldn't hear.
Yeah, that throw the curveball into everybody's life, isn't it?
Yes,
The
yeah,
teaching
it's
through the Zoom and stuff. So
they hear all sorts of things. And my son turned around very seriously to me the other day. I said, Mum, when you retire, does that mean I get Kuroten?
mm.
And thanks, that's really nice of you. But what makes you think I'm ever going to retire?
Yeah, I've got the same with Max. Max said actually it makes me really proud because he said, yeah, so I can start teaching kicking and punching. Lauren's gonna do throwing, and we're gonna take over your club.
Oh,
Okay, well, if you're gonna be older, you want to do that, I can get you as instructors, but you have to learn. And literally from then, he started to train. And, it makes me really proud parent and panic parent because we've been waiting for school. So I drop off Lauren early and walk with Max to his class, and I have to wait about 10 minutes. And they've been playing with his friend wrestling, and I just glance at him and I see Max lifting the guy up, legs going, floating around. I said, Max, no, not on the concrete. He looks like me and come, oh, sorry, Dad. I said, no, that's okay. I just forgot to tell you, when you're playing with your friends, don't throw them on the concrete. Okay? You can do wrestling and takedowns and stuff, but don't lift them and throw them. But, when you're teaching kids, so Max is very kind of short attention span. He changes stuff, play, laughs and stuff. So I never know how much information gets into them. So it's nice to see that actually in real life, it actually sinks in, and the boy was wrestling with him, and he managed to do perfect entry to the hip throw with actually lifting up. So at least I know that the information gets in there and stays in there.
that's brilliant. That's really, really
Yeah.
good.
Just
And he
not the
didn't drop
concrete.
him on the concrete, which is the
Yeah.
most important thing.
Yeah. Stand explain it to the teachers. Why your son is hitting people with the planet? Well, that's what we do at home.
Yeah, yeah. I had we hosted Tommy the other day,
Yeah.
and I had some rubber knives on the armchair. And my son was like, Mum, could we move these? Because if anyone comes to the door, they're going to think we're a really weird family because they don't look rubber from the door. Oh, yeah, you're right. You should put them away. So, yeah,
So
let's
that's
around again.
how do you fit in that you're teaching children, you're teaching practical applications of stuff. How do you communicate with them to not use that in school against other children? Because you need to allow them to use stuff against other children if they're attacked, but the barrier between a play and attack is somewhat blurred. What I experienced in my kids, some kids' way of playing because of parents, older brothers, is the what do you call it? It's the barrier of and being attacked perceived by other children. I completely messed that one up, but
I understand.
one's play is the threat to others.
So that's a really, really good question, and something that as a club it's really hard. So
Mm.
when I take children on, I have an instant rule because you can't teach a child everything in the first class. It's impossible. So my first initial rule is they are not allowed to use anything that they've learnt on their friends in the playground at school or the brothers and sisters, because you have to have a rule to start with. You can't blur that rule on the first class when you're talking 7, 8, 9 years old or younger. It's just no, you can practice in the air, but you're not allowed to go into the playground and start punching or kicking and things like that. We then start to teach consent, and is if they say it's okay. So you're not allowed to put your hands on anyone. And if you're playing and they say let go, you have to let go. So it's trying to understand consent. A lot of schools have the rule of you're not allowed to punch or kick at all. So things like that, I say not in the playground. However, I teach self-protection too. So self-protection, I'm very conscious of saying to the children, this is consensual fighting. I'm teaching you now to make a fist. I'm teaching you to kick. When we're doing self-protection, it's aimed at them. So self-protection for a 4 to 5 to 7 year old will be more along the lines of what to do if they get lost. I don't know many 5 to 7-year-olds that wouldn't go somewhere without an adult. They're going to have an adult there. So what do you do if to get lost? How do you recognize a police officer? How people who help us? How do you talk to a grown-up that you don't know? How to pick a safe stranger? All of those kinds of things. Self-protection for very small kids. Junior school children, we start to teach about the fence and talking with our hands and distances. We teach strikes with open hands, but only when needed. I tend to teach some of Richard Dimitri's things as well. And we do something called the face wash, which is a very watered down version of the shredder. So they put their hand in somebody's face and give it a wash. They're not going to seriously injure anybody by washing somebody's face, but they are going to create some distance so they can escape. So I teach things like that for that age group. So, okay, this is self-protection, but we also teach things like how to set boundaries. And that I'm doing that quite a bit across all of my junior and cadet classes at the moment. How do you set boundaries with friends? How do you set boundaries with people you don't know? It's very similar concepts, and practicing that and talking about it and putting it into their lives, because if they can set boundaries, that's a really important self-protection skill. But I'm very conscious when I'm teaching, I'm often saying to them, this is consensual fighting, this is non-consensual, and explaining the two and trying to have a very clear line of what they could do for self-protection. A lot of I would say from 10 up, understand Cooper's colour code, and they understand how to implement it. Younger than that, they tend to go, what do you mean I have to wear yellow every time I leave the house? They don't understand. But from that age, when your 11-year-old turns around and says to you, Mum, I'm in orange at the moment, when you're in the town, and you say, why? And she tells you exactly why, and she's put it into complete context at 11 years old and year 6 at primary school. You're like, I'm doing something right. And she's saying, and this is what I'm going to do. And my secondary school kids get that as well. So we split the classes and they learn these kinds of skills. But in the playground, no punching, no kicking. If they're playing, understanding consent, I have to let go. I think consent is a really big thing to teach children.
Yeah.
Or anyone.
Sure. Excellent. It's really amazing how much things you fit it from the kind of a adult's personal protection into the kids, and it's great to hear that it does work and kids actually use it and practically and can explain. I must try more with my kids. So we do follow Jamie's club, shout out, and Mary's. If you want to buy Animal Instinct, it's out now.
Oh, it's amazing. I signed up last night. I don't know if you've signed up yet. I signed up for their offer.
Yeah.
So apparently I wasn't the first. Somebody beat me by 4 minutes.
Oh,
so
cool.
I don't get the free t-shirt.
Oh dear. I don't get a free t-shirt either. But in practicing that, we're going somewhere and sending Max, you go and ask for something, which person would you choose? It makes a hell of a difference. He's much more confident now. He doesn't worry too much. He's paying attention to all sorts of things. He's communicating better. Oh, I'm afraid of this, or why are you afraid of this? He can explain it. With Lauren, it's a bit of a different thing. She's like, go! I'm taking over the world. So, but she's much younger than him, so
Of course. I don't know. So something I do in my classes. So you're talking like similar age to your younger, so 5. I pretend. So like I pretend I'm lost. So I act a scenario. So I pretend to be 5, and I stand in the middle of the dojo and go, I'm lost. And then we have the shop. So when it's a shop, it's always Tesco's. I don't know why I'm always getting lost in Tesco's. So I'm lost in Tesco's. What do I do? And I'm running around like screaming. And the first thing I want them to say is stop. So all the kids are stop, stay still, and they have to stop. And now what do you do? Call for your mom, call for your dad, call for your grown up. So standing there. So the first thing is stop. Right now, what do we do? Because we're in a supermarket. Okay. And we can't see them, then we go over to where do we find someone who works there? They say to the till. And then every child in my club, before they grade, has to know a grown-up's phone number. for every grading. It's not always written on their sheet, so that if they're lost, they can say, can you call my grown-up for me?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, sure. Phone them straight away. If they do not know a grown-up's phone number, you have to wait for the police, or you have to walk away with a potential stranger. But if you've got that grown-up's phone number, it can really reunite a child and put them at less risk. We had a little boy, I think he was 6, maybe 7 at the most, in Spain, lost his mum and dad on a busy beach. And from our classes, did everything I said, recognized a lifeguard in Spain, went up to the lifeguard, explained that he was lost, gave the grown-up's phone number, got reunited with his parents in a matter of minutes on a busy beach. And I think he could do that at that age.
Amazing, yeah.
In a foreign country.
Amazing.
Really, really good.
Cool. Tracey, what's for the future?
What's for the future? I want to grow. I want to open more classes. I have 2 kids myself, so I'm quite limited in that it's important that they have things after school as well. So I run classes at the moment Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday and Tuesday evenings at the moment off for my own children, so they can have after school interest. It's not fair for them to be at work with mum every day. But as they grow and they no longer want me to be running them around to things, there will be more classes. We will open things. I have so many ideas I would like classes with different levels. I'd like to start. I'm currently at the moment speaking with a friend of mine about potentially running our own seminar. Nerve-wracking, scary. Watch this space. We're looking at things that we can offer together. Maybe run our own seminar, maybe.
Not maybe, just do it. You got tons of value, especially if you're gonna kind of go around this adaptation thing, I think. Yeah.
So we're looking at lots of things that we could potentially do. I have lots of plans. One day I'd like to own my own dojo. One day Kuroten will have their own, but maybe not for a long time in the future.
Well, same for me. Striving all the time, striving for it. I've got a building not far from me, which I can see already less Bubka Karate Jutsu on it.
That'd be amazing.
We're just waiting for the money to come into me so I can buy it.
I know. Martial arts instructors are not well paid.
No. But it's slowly. I believe what Christian says. Just have a goal, go slowly, and it will happen.
Yeah.
There's no option not happening. It will happen. And you forgot one thing. That you're gonna write the book.
One day, maybe one day.
Did you say Monday? Did I hear right? Monday?
I need more experience first, I think. I need to know a little bit more.
Alright guys, if you would like to support Tracey, they've got t-shirts and stuff on the webpage. Which is the webpage?
Well, if you contact me through Facebook, we're on social media. So Facebook, Kuroten Practical Karate, Instagram, the same. Our website currently isn't up and running, but through social media, that's the best way. We have an online shop, so I can send you a link from there.
Cool. I think that if you've got questions and troubles with dealing with children and you would like to have adaptivity for your teaching, reach out to Tracey. I'm sure she's gonna be willing to help you. Maybe from that she can open a consultancy and make some money on giving advice. As always, if you want to support the show, the best way to do it is to listen to the next episode. If you would like to support me with a coffee, the cup is you can either grab the cup on our website, or you can buy me a coffee and fuel me for the future. Thank you, Tracey, for your time.
Thanks for inviting me, Les.
I'm looking forward to more good stuff from you.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello, this is Ohavia Phillips.
And I'm Dennis Reed.
And as members of Charlotte's Black community, we're proud to call the Queen City home.
And with Charlotte Love Notes, we're sharing our love story and spotlighting the Black-owned businesses that make this city so special.
That's right, the restaurants, shops, and more that we love and express the craft and culture of Charlotte's Black community.
So head to charlottesgotalot.com to see our love notes and plan your trip.
And show your love to the community that inspires us.